Towards the end of January 2016, Kim, myself and the kids went down to Albany, which is in the southern part of Western Australia, for a camping trip. Albany is situated on the Princess Royal Harbour, which is part of the King George Sound, and it all forms a very picturesque and enjoyable place to go for a holiday. So we went to the visitor centre where we found some places to go and have a look at. Very much a touristy thing to do, and this was a place called Frenchman Bay, and on the particular day it was quite windy, and the natural bluffs that go out had formed quite a nice protection from the wind. The kids really were having a great time playing in the waves, and one of the things of interest at this beach was that the sand was not only very white, but it squeaked when you walked across it, which was somewhat interesting. We'd walk down to the end towards the rocks and then back again. Now, while the kids really enjoy being on camera, Kim doesn't enjoy it that much. At this point, she was really trying to ignore the camera. After that, we went across to a place called Salmon Holes, and it's a really good place for catching salmon at the right time of year if you're prepared to risk your life on the rocks. It was a very, very windy point at this place with the wind direction, and we didn't go down to the beach. But we did on another day go across to Little Beach, which is one of the more beautiful beaches, and there's a little bit of footage that we took down at Little Beach. Albany was settled by Europeans in 1826, and they came across on the original of this boat, the Albany brig. Now, the brig is a two-masted sailing vessel with square sails. The original vessel was wrecked in 1845, and in 1972 plans were made to build its replica. So Josh, what's the name of the ship? Now, where did it sail from?
Sydney. There is the second deck of the Amity, and there are sound effects telling us what it sounded like in a ship.
Albany has a number of links to its military past, and this memorial, the Desert Mounted Corps Memorial, is one of those. Albany was the sending port for the troops going off to World War I, the Anzacs, the Australian and New Zealand Army Corps, and this memorial was erected in their honour for men who'd sacrificed their all for standing for what they believed, and it was quite a reflective place. It was also a very good place to get advantage of the surrounding area and the harbour and the sound. It was quite a long walk up and a number of flights of stairs, and clearly the kids didn't have too much of a problem. Next on the agenda was the Princess Royal Fortress, and this was a collection of guns and various missiles, torpedoes that had been used in Albany's past.
We're sitting on a torpedo. We're sitting on a torpedo.
And what do they use a torpedo for?
They use it to sink ships in war. That's why they have the propellers on the back, so they can travel at high speeds through the water.
And what do they normally fire torpedoes from?
They normally fire torpedoes from submarines.
Unfortunately, while playing on the guns, Josh managed to have a very personal and very up and close encounter with one of them. What happened to Josh? Josh, what happened, mate?
Happy Australia Day!
can't see. Oh, there we go. And what happened, Josh?
What did you bump your eye on?
Albany has its own wind farm of originally 12 and then an additional 6 wind turbines, running at around about 2 megawatts per turbine. Don't know if you can hear the sound of the turbines on the camera, but they actually make quite a noise. As particularly the wingtips, the tips of the blades rip through the air, and I'm not quite sure how fast they're going, but it's certainly quite an appreciable speed. I think one of the kids' favourite spots in Albany was the Model Railway Association, where there was quite an amazing collection really of all sorts of model trains. And here the kids are playing with Thomas the Tank Engine and friends, really enjoying themselves. The controllers allow them obviously to go faster and slower and stop. And they were working most of the time. It was a pretty good show. Then they had some other stuff, which this in particular was a very narrow gauge train set. In the display on the left of the screen was a reenactment of a train crash that had taken place in Britain, with all the not too many of the gory bits, but certainly a fair amount of broken equipment, modelled very beautifully. And this analog control setup was even more impressive, a huge setup, so much detail, and I'd hate to think the number of hours that had gone into building this. Really, the attention to detail was quite exquisite. Then lastly, this was the digital control, and one would think with digital control it would be reliable, but from having a chat with the guys, that had been quite problematic. So that concluded our holiday in Albany, and just leave you now with some of the pics that Kim had taken during our travels.